ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Yesterday we finished one particular small little section, but not quite because there are still two quotations to look at. But we finished the gist of it in the sense of understanding what this jnanam is. We saw it in great detail, and then what is this jnanam? Everything we saw. And so now he concludes something. He concludes in a certain way. He says, that part. Yeah, this you can repeat. Tasmatu
Tasmatu
sarvajñam tad brahma
sarvajñam tat brahma
mantravarnacha
mantravarnacha
apanipado
apanipado
javano grihita
javano grahita
pashyatya chakshuhu
pashyatya chakshuhu
सशृणोत्य कर्णः
shashrunotya karnaha
स वेत्ति वेद्यम्
tavetti vedyam
न च तस्यास्ति वेत्ता
na cha tasyasti veta
तमाहुरग्र्यम्
tamahuragriyam
पुरुषं महान्तम् इति.
purusham mahantam iti.
Before we get to the quote, we already have something here which is huge. What is that? Tasmat sarvajñam tad brahma. Therefore, this the sarvajñatvam, the all-knowingness of Brahman, which is what we were talking about yesterday, has been duly established. Now, he could have just said that. Tasmat sarvajñam tad brahma. But there is a tu there. Why should it matter? Let there be a tu. This is not this is not something a local person has written. This is Bhashyakara. There is severe economy of words, and each word is used in a very very deliberate and useful way. And so we cannot say let's gloss over the tu. And so there is a tippani, a little note by Anandagiri, the Tikakar. He puts a little note and he talks about this tu shabda. Why this tu shabda is there? Tu generally means whereas. Here it doesn't have that meaning. Otherwise it makes no sense. If you say tasmat tu sarvajñam brahma or sarvajñam tad brahma. Tad brahma sarvajñam tasmat tu makes no sense. Tasmat, therefore, tu, whereas sarvajñam, all knowing, tad brahma, that brahma. So therefore, whereas all knowing is brahman, it makes no sense grammatically. So this tu shabda has some other meaning, he says, and that is the That is he gives a mm, the Tikakara mentions something. He says Sarva Padartha Samsargitvat Ityarthaha Tu Shabdasya Arthaha. So, Sarva Padartha Samsargitvat. Samsargitvat means because it is in association with the word Sarva, with the meaning of the word Sarva, Sarva Padartha Samsargitvat. Samsarga means in association with. What? This Sarvagnyam. So, this Sarva Shabda, because the Brahman is in close association with this Sarva Shabda, then then it should not just know things in general. Yesterday we talked about how the definition of Sarvagya means Sarvam Janati iti Sarvagya. And it's a general meaning. You can say Ishvara is Sarvagya, and you can say you are also Sarvagya. How can you say you are also Sarvagya? By the ingenious methodology devised by Pujya Swamiji. And what was that? What constitutes sarvam? That which you know plus that which you do not know is sarvam. You know what you know? Of course. Yes, I do. Do you know what you do not know? Yes, there are so many things that I don't know. This I know. Okay, then you know you are all knowing. This is that is why you can say aham sarvajnaha. You can easily say that. I am sarvajna. You can say, and Ishvara also is sarvajna. And then there is already a samanadhikaranyam. There is already an apposition between you and Ishvara. But here the tu shabda, Bhagavan is, tucking in, is not explaining what it is. Bhagavan Bhashyakara here is not explaining what it is and has tucked something under his sleeves. Of course, Adi Shankara doesn't wear sleeves. So under the little rug that he sits on, has tucked something to be developed later. And that is what Tikakara alludes to. Tika means a certain kind of a commentary, and you see, we have in the tradition somebody called Bhashyakara. Who is that? Adi Shankara. Then we have Tikakara, and that is Anandagiri. Other people also have written Tikas, but the most famous Tikakara is Anandagiri. So Anandagiri is known as Tikakara. Then there is Vartika, another kind of a commentary in verse. And we have Vartikakara, that is the Sureshwaracharya, one of the disciples of Adi Shankara. Bhashyakara, Tikakara, Vartikakara. And then if we have one more word, Sutrakara, the one who is the writer of sutras, and here that is Panini. So Panini is known as Sutrakara, the one who has written sutras in the volumes, 8 volumes of books called Ashtadhyayi. So here this Tikakara says Sarva Padat Samsargitvat, because it is in association with the word Sarva, then it is also the Adhishthana of this Sarva. Sarva Padarthanam Adhishthana Chaitanyatvat. This Brahman is in the form of consciousness, which is the Adhishthana. What is the definition of Adhishthana? What is the translation? No translation. At the most, you can say Adhisthana. That's all. You can't really translate it. It is the truth of everything you can say. And so it is the Adhisthana. That which is in the form of consciousness, it is the Adhisthana. Why? Because it is the Sakshi of all things without undergoing any change. So it is the very basis of the word Sarva. All the sarva means what? All the objects. All the objects. And so, what is the secret here? So, if Brahman is the basis of everything, Brahman, it's not enough for Brahman as Bhagavan to know what you know. You can easily gloss over the sarva and say sarva is equal to what I know plus what I don't know. And Bhagavan cannot get away with doing that. Otherwise, how come this particular cat has 6 toes? the other one does not. Why is it like that? And why do certain animals have certain features and certain others don't? So this the tu shabda, tasmat tu, therefore tu means it's got a kind of a sangraha. Sangraha means a kind of a collecting capacity to bring into this chaitanya, to bring into this consciousness something which is very, very important. And to what is to he infuses this Brahman with all knowingness in a slightly different way. And what is this all knowingness? All knowingness manifests in the form of knowing each and everything in particular. There is a word for that. It is called Sarva Vetritvam. Sarvavit. Sarvavit also means Sarvagya. But when they are used together, that means Sarva Vetritvam knows everything in particular, knows your karma. Oh, but I myself don't know my karma. Exactly. That's the point. Bhagavan knows your karma as it is evidenced in the beginning of the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, I know all your births. You and I, we are old souls. We have been around a long, long time, Arjuna. There's only one slight difference. You don't know anything, and I know all your births. You don't know any one of them. And so this is not just Sarvagya. There is something else here, and this is Sarva Vetritvam, the knowing of every single jiva's karmic trajectory, the knowing of the seasons, the knowing of what kind of fragrance to put in what kind of flowers, the knowing of everything, how the trees uh, behave. Why are certain trees deciduous, meaning prone to shedding in the winter? Because those trees you will find in the northern hemisphere where it snows. Because they cannot handle, if the leaves had so much snow on them, the branches would break. It is in the interest of the survival of the tree. That's why it becomes very slim and sheds all the leaves in the fall. And then it rejuvenates again. Shoots and leaves come back out in the spring. This is that intelligence. This is the Sarva Vetritvam, which the Tu Shabda, talks about. And so that is the first meaning, the first reason why the Tu Shabda has been written over there. So that's the first reason. There is also one more reason. Tu here means that, there is something going on. There is some sarga with the with the no worship or the knower jnanam. So the samsarga is there with all knowingness, both on the part of the jiva and on the part of Ishvara. And on the part of the jiva, how is it manifest? And he's going to take that up later and we'll wait for that. But just briefly, how is the knowing manifest here? Through the vrityatmakam jnanam, through the vrittis. Vritti means certain mental modifications that take place when when that understanding happens. Oh, I am everything. I am Sarvagya. There is a certain vritti there. That vritti is Chaitanyatmakam in the form of consciousness. So, vritti is nothing but consciousness. But vritti being mithya, consciousness is not vritti. And so therefore, so there is jnana abhasa. More about that later, but it is important to point this out here because there is a connection here with this word tu, tasmat tu sarvagnyam brahma. How does Brahma become sarvagnyam and sarvavit, sarvagnyam and sarvavit? How does Brahman become without undergoing any change? Because whereas for the jiva, the buddhi vritti is the intervening factor which converts the jiva from ajnani to jnani. Ajnani here of some object. Ajnani of the name of the town. Oh, where am I? I don't know where I am. Okay, you are in this country, this town. Maybe the person was kidnapped and taken somewhere, blindfolded. And then after that, when the blindfold was taken out, he asked the question, where am I? You are no longer in your hometown. You're not anymore in your uh, native place. You are somewhere else, and this is the name of the town. So this is sarva this is vetritva. And then when the person says, ah, now I understand, I'm not in my hometown, I'm in the neighboring village. When the person says that, then there is the buddhi is involved. And there is a finite expression of knowledge. And so the person becomes now ajnana karta. But if this person is exposed to Vedanta, what happens? This is all what the Tikakara's argument is. So if the person is exposed to Vedanta, then the person says, well, it makes no difference. I was there then, I am here now. It's the same I, and it doesn't make any difference. So, may ask for the name of the town, but then says, this is just a jnana abhasa. It is an I am now, and as though knower of the fact that I have been removed from my hometown and put in another village. And the same thing Tikakara argues that it is happening on the macro level also. That's why Brahman can never be the agent of knowledge, even though Brahman knows each and every single thing in particular. So if Brahman knows your karma, Brahman is not the agent of the knowledge of your karma. If Brahman knows the flower, the blossoms, Brahman is not the agent of the knowledge of the blossoms. Why? Because just as in the case of the individual, on the micro level, in the case of the individual jiva, what is happening? So the vritti intervenes, and because of the vritti, one comes to know. Vritti is a thought form that responds and changes in relation to whatever is, whatever information is in front of it, along with the pramana, the means of knowledge, which is deployed in knowing a particular appropriate knowledge and an appropriate pramana that is deployed to know that object. And so when that pramana is there and when the prameya, that which is to be known, is there, knowledge takes place. But then again, without undergoing any change in the buddhi. Oh, but you just now said vritti, as though. Yeah. So for the knower of Brahman, the vritti is all consciousness. So the consciousness, but consciousness is not vritti. And so therefore, so just as an enlightened person, a person of self-knowledge can say, what can they say? That I am an as though knower. Same thing Ishvara says. This is what Tikakara points out. And then further, so then, this is how Sarvajnatvam is possible. This is how the Bhagavan desires. Saha akamayat, we are going to see later. This is how Bhagavan desires. This is how everything happens. And so this is, so this is all because of, with reference to upadhi. In the case of the jiva, it is buddhi upadhi. Buddhi is the upadhi. For whom? So this buddhi upadhi vashat, because of the buddhi, the sense organs, etc., then that consciousness in the form of the buddhi delivers a certain knowledge, and therefore that knowledge is as though. And so for this, for Parmeshwara, for the Lord, for Bhagavan, what is there? Maya upadhi vashat. Because of being under the spell of Maya upadhi, and without any activity, without any doership, the sarvajnatvam is there, sarvavetritvam is there. And then Sarva Sakshita is also there. So, all these details of creation, otherwise, how will Bhagavan know? The whole software should be there. And so, Sarvam Vetti, Sarvam Janati. And then, because the two are the same meanings, but then, Sarvam Janati, Sarvam Vetti. Sarvam Vetti only applies to Ishvara. Sarvam Janati, the one who knows everything in general, both the Jiva and Ishvara. This is the level at which that oneness is searched for. So that means what? Bhagavan knows French. Yes, Bhagavan knows French. What about Latin? Bhagavan knows Latin. Oh, so I can talk to Bhagavan in Latin, of course. And then it's been done for a long time in the masses and everything. It's all in Latin, it used to be. And then Bhagavan knows Sanskritam. Yes, Bhagavan knows enough Sanskritam to correct all your mistakes also. There are certain bhajans, Sometimes they are cringe-worthy, and then sometimes I'm invited, so I have to just sit and listen. There's one that goes, how does that go? Kali Durge Namo Nama, not even Namaha, Namo Nama. And it is grammatically wrong because the Namaha takes fourth case. So you have to say Yai Namaha, Durga Yai Namaha. So, and you have to articulate the ha in Namaha because that Visarga is not just there for Alankara. It's not there for some kind of decoration. You put two dots just because you feel like it. It has a purpose. But then it's become some very famous. Kali, Durge, Namo, Nama. Everywhere people sing. And then Bhagavan is extremely forgiving. And Bhagavan and Kali and Durga are extremely forgiving, and they say, Chalo, jane do, let it be, it's all right. At least they are trying. At least they are doing this. And same thing with goddess Gayatri. The Gayatri mantra, sometimes it should be chanted, but in India, I don't know, in other places, in India, it is often sung. And so then there is this thing called Upadmaniya, a kind of a sound which is created when the Visarga contacts the first two labial consonants pa and pa. So, Dhiyo yo naha prachodayat, that naha means our. And so that naha and followed by prachodayat should be naf prachodayat. That's how it should be pronounced. But then that if is, people don't know because they've not studied the grammar. This is just inherited from the parents who chanted it wrong, and their parents also probably who chanted it wrong. And then they go around saying, Dhiyo yo na prachodayat. Na prachodayat means, oh Lord, please don't stimulate my intellect and don't make me think correctly. And so, but then Bhagavan being Sarvavit understands the spirit of your question. And understanding the spirit of the question blesses the buddhi at least enough to be able to chant the mantra properly next time. And so this is what is called sarva vetritvam. Every language, everything. That's why you can pray to Bhagavan in any language. And so therefore the Tikakara very correctly and helpfully points out that for this tu shabda there is a Vishesha, and that Vishesha is a sangrahartham, in order to collect all the things to be revealed later, he says, and so this is what it is. So with these words, let us go to the first quotation which we just chanted. Apanipadah Javanah Grahita. Apani. Apanihi means Pani, dual, Pani na vidyate yasya, for whom there are no hands. Padau, again dual, na vidyate yasya, for whom there are no feet. No hands, no feet. Okay? And then what? Apani Padaha, then so no, the person has no hands, whoever is being discussed here, Brahman, has no hands. Apani Padaha, no hands, no feet, no karmendriya. So apadaha, this is how it should be taken. Javanaha means swift moving. Apadaha, abhi, javanaha. So the apadaha goes with javanaha. Apani grahita. Apani api grahita. Grahita means grabber, grabs. And then apani, no hands but grabs, no feet but moves very swiftly. Sees, pashyati. How does it see? Ajakshuhu. Sees unseeingly without any eyes, without the help of eyes, sees. Shrinoti hears, akarnaha. So the fellow doesn't have feet, no legs. But then what? Still Jabanaha, swift moving. Apadaha Jabanaha. Apanihi grahita, grabs everything. And so then we have to look at it that way. Then Apani Pado Jabano Grahita. So no karmendriyas, but still does everything that call for karmendriyas without the karmendriyas. And then it includes vak. No vak, but talks. Even though it's not mentioned, we have to bring in that. And then what? This is, how is this possible? How can somebody grab something without hands or organs of action? How can someone speak without the organ of speech? How can someone run and move swiftly without the legs? And this is again, we have to say, Upadhi Vashat, because of Upadhi. The Pani becomes Upadhi, Vak becomes Upadhi, Pada becomes Upadhi. It's Upadhi all the way. It itself is free of the Upadhi. Upadhi is not free of it. And so therefore, it is pure Chaitanya. Without eyes, Pashyati, Sarvam Pashyati Achakshuhu. And why? Because Upadhi Vashat, Upadhi Taha Achakshuhu Pashyati. Essentially without eyes, but with the help of the Upadhi called eyes, can see. Eyes are just an Upadhi. And then it's a witness to everything. And then Shrinoti Akarnaha, which has no ears, but then nothing is away from it. No sound is away from which Brahman? That is what is meant Shrinoti Akarna. No object of sight is away from Brahman. Seer, not away from Brahman. Seen, not away from Brahman. The mode of seeing, eyes, not away from Brahman. All these are upadhi, but then it is as though. This is a very beautiful verse, as I told you earlier, from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. And there it is ingenious because it functions like a Mahabhakya. You can take it at the level of Jiva and Ishvara. You can also say Apani Padaha Aham, Shrinomi, Pashyami, Achakshuhu, Pashyami. You can also say the same thing. And so this, nothing is away from Brahman. That is why Akarnaha Shrinoti. And all this leads up to the line which he really wants to quote. Savedti Vedyam. This is the main reason why this quote is here. Vedti knows. It knows whatever there is to know. Naja tasyasti vetta. But nobody is there that can objectify it or know it like an object. And so this Atma Vedti Brahmatma. Brahmatma, this Sadatma, Vedti knows, Janati, everything that is to be known, knows, but nobody is able to grasp. It grabs hold of everything. Nobody is able to grab hold of it. It sees everything. Nobody is able to see it as an object. It hears everything. Nobody is able to hear it as an object, or it is not an object of sound. Whatever you say, this is what it means. Whenever you say Atma cannot be objectified, this is what we mean. It is not an object of the organs of actions, nor is it an object of the senses, sense organs. But then before you get depressed, I have to point out that it need not be objectified because it is self-evident. Since it is self-evident, it doesn't need to be objectified because it is already prakatita, swata siddha. And so this is, so therefore, savetti vedyam, nachatasyasti vetta. Nobody knows it at all. Nachatasyasti vetta. Then tam ahuhu, the knowers of Brahman understand Brahman and say, what do they say? They refer to Brahman as agryam, agre bhavam, that which was there even before this whole manifest Jagat came into being. Before the Jagat was manifest, that consciousness that was there, that being that was there, that conscious presence, that Satchidananda, Atma, Brahmatma, Sadatma, Paramatma that was there, that is Tam Atmanam Ahuhu. People who know say, this is Srishtehe Prak Api Bhavam, that which was ever present, that which obtains before the Srishti, which was there before the Srishti in the form of what? Pratyagatma, Chaitanyam, that which is the same as this. When I say I am, that awareness, that which was even before the Jagat manifest as awareness, consciousness. Purusham Mahantam. Mahantam means not great. Mahan means great, but here it means limitless, whose limits are not known. Tam ahuhu Purusham Mahantam. And then so this is the first quote. And then iti mantravarnaha mantravarnat sarvasakshitvam. Tikakara says, so that therefore the seer of everything. And then this is what is Brahman, and this therefore there is all these two quotations. Let us not forget why they are being deployed, because it's easy to get within the quotation and enjoy the pieces of the Shvetashvatara Upanishad without knowing why we are studying this. And it is all to establish Brahman as Sarvajnam and not as Jnana Karta, not as the agent of knowledge. And so this is what the thing is. And then the next quote is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.3.30. Nahi
Nahi
Vijñatuhu
Vijñatuhu
Jñatehe
Vijñatehe
Viparilopo Vidyate
Viparilopo Vidyate
Avinashitvat
Avinashitvat
Natu Tadvitiyam Asti
Natu Tat Dvitiyam Asti
Ityadi Shrutescha.
Ityadi Shrutescha.
This is the next quotation. And we'll have to take a little trip to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I just had that open, that passage. Let me try to find it. Where did it go? So we'll have to take a little trip to this to look at the context. And this is from the mantras 23 to 30, 3:23 to 4:3:30. And this is in the context of the Janaka Yajnavalkya dialogue. Yajnavalkya is teaching Janaka and talking about talking about what moksha is like. And it's a very nice, there is a wonderful preamble. And he talks about how moksha is not the same as sleep. Of course, the only form of moksha that we know before we enter Vedanta is sleep, is to go to sleep. Then definitely in sleep there is moksha. Even if there is no moksha for you, for your loved ones, there is moksha from you when you are asleep. Okay, so that's why sleep is very celebrated, even within Vedanta. So now here he tells the difference between sleep and moksha. Who Yagyavalkya, instructing Janaka, says this, and then he says this liberation is different. It is like sleep in the sense of being free of desires, but Unlike sleep, there is total awareness. Unlike sleep, you're not unconscious, you're aware. You're totally aware. And then he says, it is, it is it is akamam and shokantam, means free of sorrow and free of desire. And then he proceeds to say in mantra 22, which I would like to share with you because very beautiful mantra. Atra pita apita bhavati, mata amata, lokaha alokaha, devaha adevaha, vedaha अवेदाः अत्र स्तेनो अस्तेनो भवति भ्रूणः अभ्रूणः चाण्डालो अचाण्डालः पौल्कसो अपौल्कसः श्रवणो अश्रमणः तापसो अतापसः अन्वगतं पुण्येन अनन्वगतं पापेन अनन्वगतं तीर्णो हि सदा सर्वान् शोकान् हृदयस्य भवति. And it is just, it is just like sleep also in this sense. Atra means in this self knowledge. When one has self knowledge, atra, then pita, that which used to be the father, apita bhavati, the father becomes non father. Why? Oh, you have disowned the father? No. Has the father disowned you? No. Then how does the father become no father? The father becomes no father because you have gone farther and farther from this whole idea of father and this connection and this relationship and all the dysfunctionality and the joys and sorrows associated with your role of son or daughter. So that is why the father is not loaded in the head or in the heart as a subjective entity in the form of unmet and unmeetable expectations. The father is simply a person in the universe. Whether the father is alive or has passed doesn't matter. The father is simply somebody who occupies or occupied a place in the universe. And so, therefore, the father is there, but then is not there for me as a thorn on the side, as someone I'm missing, as someone in whose connection I have all these, a basket full of expectations. I have a load of expectations which I carry when from lifetime after lifetime and looking for those expectations in every relationship. That is not there. So the father becomes non-father. Same thing, mother, and then what does the mother become? You just cancel the M. Mother becomes other. Okay, so there is other than the mother. Yeah. Why? Because the mother is very much there. And you may still love the mother and you may still care for the father, love the father, but the whole host of expectations, a suitcase full of expectations, as soon as the word mother is heard, is not there. Lokaha and all those lokas you wanted to go to, Brahmaloka included. Wonder what chai tastes like in Indraloka. Wonder what kinds of things they have here in this loka, that loka. And even on earth, there are many lokas. And then, so there are many places you can go. And if you exhaust everything, then then also you can go places. All you have to do is become a billionaire. And then, then after that, you go to space and then come back. That's what you do. You launch some kinds of things that takes you to the edge of space, and then you come back. In one day you can go, next day you come back, and then you can tell everybody I have gone to space. And so all the desire for all the lokas gone. Are the lokas gone? It is immaterial for you. The lokas are gone. So what does it matter if it's there or not? For you it is not even. You don't even see it. You are because just like it's just like when you don't require something, when you have no desire for a particular thing, then it's almost like you are unseeing of it, like the bald man walking in the shampoo aisle of the supermarket. And then, in here is hair care, conditioner, 102 varieties. And then 108 varieties of shampoo, gel, you know. And the bald man is just walking completely full of vairagya with regard to what is on the left and what is on the right. And none of the bottles and the little with those little pumps can attract him. So just like that, the person is unseeing of the lokas. And all the devas, including the Ishta Devatas, unseeing of the Ishta Devatas, because why? One has understood the word Div, which is the root verb for Deva, that self-effulgent Atma, I am alone. And to recall the Kenopanishad, what does it say? Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi, Nedam Yadidam Upasate. Know that Brahman to be yourself, not that which you put on the altar and worship. That's the idea. Then why do I have an altar? So that it can alter you. That's why it is called altar. And then here the altar has altered you. So the Deva has become non-Deva. Before you were like, oh, give me, give me, give me. And then after one becomes a Jignasu, give me knowledge, give me knowledge, give me knowledge. No, that is also not there. No, give me, give me, give me. And then what? Vedas become a Veda for the same reason. Vedas were the tools which you held on to. Oh my God, the Upanishad, Upanishad, Upanishad. And in the, what was it, in the 10th chapter of the Panchadashi, Natya Deepa, there is a verse towards the end which says, may the person who has studied this collect all their books, all the Upanishad books, and throw them away, recycle the books. So whenever I teach that verse, I have to have a small caveat. We are not at that stage yet. Okay, so I have to say that. Otherwise, we'll have some obedient student who says, okay, off with the Upanishads. But here, the person has sought the seeker. The seeker has been found to be that Brahman which the person was seeking all along. So the Vedas are of no use anymore. And if the person was a thief, Stenaha, and the person, was a thief when? Before gaining the knowledge. And we have such stories, Valmiki, etc. And then after gaining this knowledge, not a thief. Brunaha. Brunaha means the person, Brunaha means the person who kills a Brahmana, learned person. So that person also, even supposing when you have killed a Brahmana, then that papa also does not accrue. In fact, that's going to be talked about later in this. Then Chandala, the funeral grounds keeper, is not a Chandala anymore. Like this, all these, the worker is not a worker, the tapasvi is not a tapasvi. Ananvagatam punyena, untouched by punya. Ananvagatam papena. How do you spell Papa? The person asked. What is Punya? How do you spell Papa? And then Tirno hi tada sarvan shokan hridayasya bhavati. The person has crossed each and every residue of sorrow ensconced in the heart. So then further what happens to the person is revealed from mantras 23 to 30, which are very, very repetitive, but which take each and everything, from the eyes to these all the sense organs, slowly sense organs and mind, and then the last one which Adi Shankara has quoted takes it sums it all up. So just for the fun, let us see the at least 23 and 24. Yad vai tanna pashyati, pashyan vai tanna pashyati, nahi drashtuhu drashtehe viparilopo vidyate avinashitvat. Natu tadvitiyam asti, tato anyat vibhaktam yat pashye. Same thing. Then 24. So 23 was all about sight. So indeed the person sees, but doesn't see anything. One sees anything in particular, but one sees everything there. Seeing, one sees not. Yes, definitely it's a little enigmatic. No, but it has to be understood as one sees everything, and there is no particularized entity that one sees, because that seeing is also takes place because of desire. So if there are desires, then one will be seeing selectively, scanning the firmament to affirm the objects of desire and discard the objects of hatred and the objects of dvesha. But here the person has total equanimity, total freedom from desire. So seeing one is unseeing. And because it's more of a single comprehension and not a perception in succession. I see cow, then I see horse, then I see this. But here everything is seen, but nothing is seen in particular, because there is no need. The seeing is um, not coming along with grabbing. That is why, because there is a total absence of desires. Because what, and then that is the first reason. Because and you also cannot say anything is being seen, because there is nothing other than the seer, and the seer knows that. So everything that the person sees is oneself. So because the seer has absorbed into into oneself all that is to be seen. In other words, one sees just an extension of oneself. One sees nothing but the self. And that's why it is non-seeing of anything as separate, because one is one with the self. And so that therefore what? Nahi drashtuhu drashtehe viparilopo vidyate. Then there is no desire to perceive anything. And so then there is no necessity for the mind to move towards an object, for the eyes to scan for that particular object and then bring that back, or for the mind to move away from the object. And even if the mind moves towards the object, the Mandukya Karika says this beautifully, Dhyayati iva, as though focuses. And then what? Gets distracted. As though gets distracted. Lelayati iva. It's all iva. And so therefore, so there was no difference. For the person, there is no difference between the I and the object with which I encounter. So therefore, there is just that awareness of oneself, and the perceptive process through the senses is not important, because it is understood as transitive. It is just a momentary activity of the mind in relation to something. There is a noise on the street. And then, yes, the mind goes there and you see, okay, somebody is honking the horn. Oh, I'm in the middle of the road. Maybe I should get out of the way. You get out of the way and that's it. You don't really dwell on that anymore. And so like this, so there is a so one understands this. One understands that this the continuity in perception. It's not really the continuity in perception. It's the continuity of the perceiver. Chaitanya with regard to the perceiver. Chaitanya, which has minted in itself as the perceiver, that awareness, which is, minted itself as the perceiver. And then, so nahi drashtuhu. Drashtu means the seer. For the seer, drishtehe viparilopo vidyate. So there is no destruction. Viparilopaha means destruction of the seer. Why? Avinashitvat. Avinashitvat means avinasha hetu abhava, because there is no second thing to interact with the seer. Whatever is interacting with the seer is a extension of the seer alone. So the seen Chaitanya, objects of sight, is again awareness, and the seer is also awareness, is also consciousness. So how many consciousnesses are there? Only one. Natu tad dvitiyam asti. No two consciousnesses. And so therefore, no need for the mind to move towards the object. For the person of enlightenment, the objects are all in oneself, as oneself. There is no separation at all. And that is that Advitiya. That is what it is. And so like this, it goes through smell, taste, and and all these different things. Different sensations: smelling, tasting, speaking. What else? Hearing, touching, thinking, understanding, concluding. There is a all these expressions, experiences are just, there is no perception of outside objects in all these expressions. There is no smelling, no tasting, no speaking, no thinking, anything other than you, because the content of that I has become one with the object, which is also an extension of the I. That content of the I is Chaitanya, the content of the truth of the objects is also consciousness. And so all that is one. And so here, instead of because the kind of perception we are used to is the mind moving to various objects. But here, the object itself has become the self. And so there is, this is what is called liberation. Here, this is what is moksha. There is no subject object difference anymore. And so therefore, natu tad dvitiyam asti tato anyat vibhaktam yat pashye. So there is no second at all. There is no second thing, and there is no second sensation. There is no second understanding. And so then our quote here is the 30th one. Yadvai tanna vijanati, vijanan vai tanna vijanati. And then here is the quote. Nahi vijnatuhu vijnatehe viparilopo vidyate avinashitvat natu tadvitiyam asti tato anyat vibhaktam yad vijaniyat. So, nahi, not indeed. Vijnatahu, for the knower. Vijnatehe, of consciousness. Viparilopo vidyate. Destruction is there. For the knower, the destruction of that knowing, of that knowingness, which is consciousness, is not there. Why? Because of the absence of any other thing separate from that consciousness. Avinashitvat, avinasha hetu abhavat. Natu tadvitiyam asti. So therefore, there is no second thing. Tataha anyat vibhaktam, separate from that Brahman. Yat vijaniyat, that one would know. There is nothing to know. There is nothing to know other than the self. There is nothing to see other than the self. There is nothing to experience other than the self. Very beautiful. And then the mantra number 31 here concludes, Yatra vai, very beautiful. The mantra 31 concludes where Yagyavalkya speaks to Janaka and says, Yatra va anyat iva syat tatra anyaha san anyat pashyet anyat jigre anyat rasayet anyat vadet anyaha anyat shrunuyat अन्यः अन्यान् मन्वीत अन्यः अन्यत् स्पृशेत् अन्यः अन्यत् vijaniyat. If there is something outside of you, O Janaka, O King Janaka, then you can see that. If there is something outside of you, you can taste that. If there is something outside of you, you can hear that. If there is something outside of you, then you can speak to that. If there is something outside of you, then you can think of that. Or you can visualize that. If there is something outside of you, you can touch that. If there is something, as it were, outside of you, you can know that. But what is there? Here is just a oceanic consciousness, where the bubbles, the foam, the waves, the tsunamis make no difference to the grandeur and the glory of the ocean. All that is there is a single vast, limitless expanse of consciousness. One without a secondless one. And then what is there to speak about? What is there to see? What is there to be seen? And this is what it is. And then he tells Yagyavalkya, Vesha Brahmaloka Samrat, O king, this is Brahmaloka that you wanted to go to. And so this Esha Parama Gatihi, this is Moksha. Esha Parama Sampat, this is the highest treasure that you can have. And this is the, what else do you want to, there's nothing remaining to be learned. Esha Parama Gatihi, this is the ultimate goal. And then at the very end, he says, this is the Eshaha Paramanandaha, Eshaha Brahmanaha Paramanandaha. This is the ultimate joy that is Brahman. And this is, you cannot surpass this because it is Swarupananda. It is not Vishayananda. It is not an Ananda based on Vishaya. It is not an Ananda based on Vidyananda, on knowing something. It is not an Ananda based on Yogananda, nothing like that. It is based on you. And then all the masses, you have studied this knowledge, so you can have this Ananda. Etasya vai Anandasya anyani bhutani matram upajivanti. It is of this Ananda alone. Etasya eva Ananda. There is only one Ananda because natu tad dvitiyam asti. There is no dvitiya. There is no second thing. So it is of this Ananda alone. What is that? This Ananda alone. Etasya eva Anandasya anyani bhutani. All the people, matram upajiva. So all the joys of the cosmos put together would be a small drop of this Brahmananda, Swarupananda. And then the people, whatever joys we are experiencing, the everyday happinesses of life, like ice cream happiness, friend happiness, movie happiness, all these happinesses are just a little fractional, infinitely small little drop of this oceanic ananda, that which you are. This is the whole context of this wonderful quotation. And then let us go back here to our text here. So this is very important to understand because this is as I said, this Shruti he has quoted at least 50 times. Bhashya, where everywhere you see this very, very important quote and a very frequent quote of Bhashyakara because Bhashyakara seems to love this quote. Now the question is why? Because whenever you encounter a quote by Bhashyakara, you need to sit up because he doesn't do anything half-heartedly and just nonchalantly. No, there is a reason. Why? Because we have this. Why is this quote very, very dear to Bhashyakara? Because it's not an ordinary Vakya. Generally, the Shruti does not need to give you a reason why something is so. But here it is, a hetu is given. Hetu means a cause is given. Nahi vigyatuhu vigyatehe viparilopo syat. Viparilopo vidyate. Why? And the cause is given, which is in the fifth case. What is that cause? Avinashitvat. Avinasha hetu abhavat. Very beautiful. So that's why you have to sit up when and that's why this quote is so dear to Bhashyakara, because there is a reason given. This is called, and then sometimes there are examples given. Then also those kinds of quotations, such kinds of shrutis become quotation material. So what are the examples given? Like for example, ekena mritpindena sarvan mrinmayam vijnatam syat. Chandogya. If you know one lump of clay, the entire clay world is as though fully understood, fully known. This is not a small thing. This is a very, very nice thing. And so that means what? So this is a drishtanta. Drishtanta means there is a reasoning there. So it is hetu garbhita drishtanta. A drishtanta, an example that is pregnant with the cause. The cause is hidden, but it is there. So therefore, this quote becomes extremely dear to Bhashyakara and very appropriate as well. And what is the hetu here? The hetu means cause. So what is the hetu? The hetu here means the destruction is not there. Why? Avinashitvat viparilopah na vidyate. Because the vinasha hetu abhavat. Otherwise, because otherwise it could have been subject to destruction. Here it is not at all subject to destruction. Why? Because there is no second thing which can destroy it. That is the reason here. And that is why the quotation is very exciting, because there is Advaita Siddhi. Advaita Siddhi is there. And then there is the establishment of this non-duality for Brahman through the Jnana Shabda deployment, through the word Jnanam. It is not destroyed. I mean, it's not enough to say it's not destroyed. And what is the reason? There is nothing that can destroy it. Why? Because everything being itself. And if there is any other thing, it is mithya. Mithya cannot destroy Satyam. Just like your shadow cannot strangle you. And you cannot say I am dying because of my shadow. Mithya depends on Satyam, the shadow depends on you, and you cannot be destroyed by the shadow. And so natu tad dvitiyam asti. So tasya brahmanah dvitiyam na asti. And then because another thing is not there, Vitiya is not there, even one is not there, because it is secondlessly one. So the second thing not being there, it is all that is there is consciousness. And it is Vijnapti. Vijanati means Vijnapti. And this Vijnapti is extremely is important to understand, so that we can have the we can have we can look at it and see that this Brahman is not a is completely away from all karakas, all factors of action, is not the agent of knowledge, is not the producer of knowledge, is not the object of knowledge. And but then neither the agent nor all the factors are not away from which Brahman. That is what we are talking about. Further, Vijnatra Swarupa
विज्ञातस्वरूप
Avyatirekat
अव्यतिरेकात्
Karanadi Nimitta
करणादिनिमित्त
Anapekshatvat cha
अनपेक्षत्वाच्च
Brahmana
ब्रह्मणः
Jnanaswarupe api
ज्ञानस्वरूपे अपि
Nityatva Prasiddhi
नित्यत्वप्रसिद्धिः
अतः
अतः
नैव धात्वर्थः तत्
नैव धात्वर्थः तत्
अविक्रिया रूपत्वात्
अविक्रियारूपत्वात्
अत एव
अत एव
जनज्ञानकर्तृ.
च न ज्ञानकर्तृ.
Yeah. So, Vijnatra Swarupa Avyatireka gives many reasons here. We'll have to look at them one by one. First one, and we'll see the meanings, so don't worry about it yet. So, the first one, these are all the reasons. First reason that is given is for Brahman to not be Ajnana Karta. He concludes the whole section. The first reason given is Vijnatra Swarupa Avyatireka. Avyatireka, non-separate. Because Brahman is non-separate from the content or the truth of the knower. First condition. We'll see all this in detail. Okay. Then the second condition, karanadi nimitta anapekshatvat brahmana. Karanadi nimitta anapekshatvat. Apeksha means there is an expectancy. Anapeksha, no dependency, no expectation. Of what? Nimitta, the cause. What is the cause on which one is depending to know something? Karanas, indriyas, and all the sense organs, etc. So the sense organs are not in play. The sense organs are not, the Brahman is not dependent upon the sense organs. And then what? Jnana Swarupe. And even though the Brahman is in the form of this Jnana Swarupa, which is seemingly, and this is why we have to look at this carefully, seemingly undergoing so many changes, now knower, now known, now the process of knowing, etc., etc. And then Jnana Swarupepi Nityatva Prasiddhihi. Nityatva Prasiddhihi means the establishment of the unchanging one as Brahman has already been done. Nityatva means Nirvikaritvam. So the Nityatvam here is Nirvikaritvam. And so it is Nirvikara, it is not subject to any undergoing any change, even though we have been in the studying the realm of the fluid jnanam. It undergoes no change. Ataha naiva dhatu artha tat. Therefore, we cannot take it as as a meaning of the verb to know. We cannot take it as a meaning of the verb to know. Why? Avikriya rupatvat. Avikriya rupatvat means because it is in the form of that which does not change at all. So this is avikriya rupatvat, or we can even say patha bhedat akriya rupatvat, because it is not subject to any kind of, that is actually better, because this avikriya rupatvat is already talked about by the nityatva prasiddhi. We have seen that, and so then this can be taken. Anandashram has a different reading here. Akriya rupatvat. That is also okay because it is not in the form of the doer. There is nothing that it is doing at all. Akriya rupatvat. And then, where are we here? Yeah. Oh, the quotation. Yeah, here we are. Akriya rupatvat. Akriya rupatvat. Atah, he concludes, eva, therefore, it is not the agent of action. It is not the agent of action at all. He concludes there. So perhaps we have time to say, look at the first cause. Vijnatra Swarupa Avyatirekat. We can perhaps finish seeing that today, and then the rest we can see next time. So Vijnatra Swarupa Avyatirekat. And then, so therefore, Brahmana Jnana Swarupatvepi Nityatva Prasiddhihi. So therefore what? So the word Jnanam, when it is used in relation to Brahman, what does it mean? It doesn't mean Karakartha. It doesn't mean Karakas. It doesn't mean knower, known, means of knowing, instrument of knowledge, and for whose sake one knows. No. It means one's own Swarupa. Yaptihi, this was pointed out. And it is not something that is the buddhi dharma. It is not something that is the attribute of the buddhi, or for that matter attribute of atma, attribute of brahman. It is not jnanam is not an attribute of brahman. Why is it not an attribute of brahman? It is its swarupa. That's what it says. Avikriya, what was that? Yeah. So avikriya rupatvat. I know before that something else it said. Vijnatra swarupa avyatireka. Because it is separate from the Vijnatra swarupa. It is non-separate from the knower. And it is nitya. And so therefore it is all knowledge without needing, as we have seen in the earlier quotation, without needing anything to focus on, any karana, any kind of an inner instrument. It doesn't need. It cannot be karta. It cannot be because why? Because it is free of knowing anything in particular. It is free of the object. It is free of subject. It is simply in the form of all knowledge, and it is non-separate from that knowledge. And that's how we can say Brahmavit apnoti param. The knower of Brahman gains the ultimate, gains everything. And so that is why it creates the desire. What is there to know? What is this Brahman, and how do we know it? And so therefore this is he's getting to the place that he's going to establish lakshana instead of vachyartha. Lakshyartha, he's going to say that all these words, jnanam, satyam, anantam, function as indicatory words with an implied meaning rather than the direct, obvious meaning. And that implied meaning is very much enough. So if anybody were to protest, didn't he do that last time? Yes, but who remembers? That's why he has to do it all over again. Very, very thorough bhashya. After this, you will not forget. So we'll leave it here. I have a small announcement. Next Saturday, I cannot have this class because I'm teaching a retreat somewhere outside outskirts of Bangalore. And so then, but Sunday I'll be back. So Sunday we can have class. So this class we will skip next Saturday, and Sunday we will have class. I may be, 1 or 2 minutes late if we arrive late or something like that. But please be patient. I will, we'll have the class on Sunday unless there is some unexpected thing in terms of travel or whatever it is. Okay. Right. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.